Okay, so we're going to get started, guys. So I would like to introduce our topic of integrating AI and technology for chapter operations. This is presented by Jackie Huff, and thank you for sharing your expertise with us today. And Jackie, you may now begin.
Awesome, awesome. Hello, everyone. Like Heather said, I'm Jackie. So I was initiated back in 2019 at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Today's presentation is going to be kind of a mix of some AI and tech tools and like platforms, some just ideas to get you thinking. As some of you were in the room, I don't know if everybody was, I'm not necessarily the most techie person. So a lot of these are just suggestions, some things that I have used in my own life. But please feel free. This can be an exchange. I'm sure that many of you probably have other tools that you're already using or might know better. So please do share. We're gonna start. This is going to be a Q&A slide. So the slido.com is a fun tool. Hint, hint, we'll get to it later. I'm going to leave this open. So you can go scan the QR code or go online, type in this address and put the number in. We'll revisit the questions or comments at the end. I just wanted to kind of put it up if you wanted to drop some stuff in. And then while you're doing that, so just a quick overview, a brief agenda really quick. So we'll start with AI focused tools and platforms that might be helpful, kind of what you can use them for. Also with like a creative side. So there's like operations and then how it can help you be creative and how to integrate that into your chapter operations. And then we'll move more into just more tech things. So how to make presentations like this engaging for your members or whoever you're giving it to, and then round it out with just some tips, tricks, and final thoughts of why it's important and why you should be integrating all of these things if you are not already. And we'll round it out with like questions and just kind of an open discussion if there's anything that I missed. All right. Oh, looks like we're already on the next one. So looks like most of our chapter meetings are usually in person or hybrid, which is great. And the next question. So if you want to go ahead and enter this one in. So do you already integrate any kind of tech tools into your meetings? 5 would be always, 1 would be absolutely not ever. Okay. So it looks like we have a good range. Nobody's doing it all the time, which is fine, but nobody's not ever doing it. Okay, and I also have to apologize, everybody, in advance. There is an air and water show going on in Milwaukee, where I'm calling in from, and the airplanes are zooming around out there. So if you can't hear me, I'll try to pause when it gets really loud. All right, this is great. Does anybody want to come off their mic and maybe share quickly what tools you use, or you could throw it in the chat?
Just PowerPoint for meetings.
Perfect. Sorry, I had to go off mute. Google Docs forms. Okay, awesome. So hopefully there will be some new stuff in here, but if not, hopefully it's a good review. So we'll keep on moving. So let's move into AI tools for operations and support. All right, and I will be sharing out the slide deck at the very end. So all of these links are clickable. I will say I kept it with free options, so you shouldn't have to pay for any. There are, of course, levels to it if your chapter wanted to invest, but again, that's totally up to you and what your situation is. So for AI operations specifically, so this is these are ways to streamline either communication or just getting meetings together, things like that. The first one would be Otter.ai. So this is a note-taking and transcribing AI platform. Again, it's free to use, so it will link to your calendar and your meetings, and it will automatically just be listening to voices. And it will create meeting notes, which is actually super helpful, especially for a smaller chapter who might not have a secretary, for example, because then you automatically get the meeting notes. It can give you summaries when you log in and action items and next steps that you might need for your meeting. These other two are along those lines. This Hypercontext, brought to you by the Spinach AI. This is, again, note-taking, meeting summaries, action items, very similar to Otter AI. Less well known. I know that I've seen and have used the Otter one. So again, just some options for you to kind of take a look at. Docket specifically is similar to the previous two, but it integrates very well with Slack. So if you do use that for your chapter operations already, it will integrate nicely. It can pull like communication and meeting chats, things like that to schedule meetings. Again, take notes, give you summaries, and then produce action items as well. All right, and some really cool AI options for creative works. Again, these are free at some level, but you might need to pay for additional ones. The first one, and I think the most relevant, would be Canva AI. So this is newer to me, but you can create things like graphics, for social media. It has an option for videos. So you'd really have to play around with it, tell it what you're looking for, input all of the branding and things like that. But it would be great. And again, especially for smaller chapters, but really just to be efficient, because creative work, if you're not necessarily creative, can take up a lot of brain power and just a lot of time to get everything just right. So I highly recommend checking out those. Adobe Firefly, again, is also free. There are levels to that, very similar to Canva AI, a little more intricate, and Designs AI is another one as well. All right. And just a thought here and just a little tip. Let's say you don't want to use the other platforms, or even if you do, you can use ChatGPT to help you either find a meeting time. So this screen is just some prompts that you can ask it. Again, just a jumping off point. This is not an extensive list by any means. But creating, if let's say you're emailing back and forth and you have people's availability, you could type it in and ask for them, ask ChatGPT to give you the best time to meet based on those availabilities. You could be organizing a meeting based on, whatever your topic is, whether it's, an event, a service project, something like that. And then it will create an agenda, acting as an assistant. So this is something I think you could use, if you have notes either from a secretary or from the Otter AI, let's say you use that in your meetings, you could put it back into ChatGPT and have it summarize it for you. Okay, sorry, the airplanes were going. But anyways, I'll leave this at that. You can copy and paste or use it, edit these so that you can use ChatGPT to kind of think for you in some of the situations and produce some of these communications a lot simpler and easier. All right, this is more of my area of expertise. So these are specifically like tech tools, platforms for operation and then for engagement, whether you host meetings or things in person, hybrid, or completely virtual. It's always good to add some of these elements to increase engagement. All right, so Tech for Operations, a very, very cool platform that could be used specifically for events or programming that you have throughout the year would be the Session Lab. Let's see if I can. Okay, can you all see this? The Session Lab, if somebody could come off mute.
We can see it.
Okay, awesome. Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm sharing screens or tabs. Okay, great. So if you haven't used this already, you can kind of see it's a great way to build out let's say you have a big event, right? And so it's a good way to lay out the timeline. You can put, how much time it's going to take, what time you're going to start, what's going on, and then to-do items over here, these to-do lists. So this would be really, really great. And it's collaborative, so you can invite either your whole exec board, your whole chapter. Let's say you have like a subcommittee for, whatever the event may be. They can collaborate, add to this. It's a great way to also be able to hold people accountable for, tasks that they might have said they would take. And then a great visual as well to kind of create a schedule, especially for bigger events. I would say probably not service events, but let's say you do like a last lecture or a faculty recognition program that's like a big signature program, this would be a great resource to kind of help project manage that. ClickUp and Monday.com are also great kind of project management platforms. So, and they're very, very similar. Again, this would just kind of be up to you what makes more sense for your chapter and the how you feel like the using of it is. You can create different subsections and then create tasks. You can assign tasks to them as well. And again, they're collaborative, so you can invite everybody in your chapter to use it, and a great way to keep track of timelines. I personally would use I've used Monday.com more often, and it's also a great way to map out your entire year if you wanted to transfer it. Because we have our chapter action plan, right? So when you submit that report, inputting it into this could be a great way to just stay on top of it and visually see what your calendar of events and to-dos are throughout the year. And then, of course, I put Slack on here. I know there are many different channels, so I didn't want to go too deep into like how to communicate with chapters, but it can be a great place, a solid kind of central hub that you can upload documents, send out your messaging and communication to your chapter, and all of those things. Okay. These are just some very quick online tools that you can use to have collaborative meetings, whether that is virtual or in person or a mix of both. One that I really like is the mural board. I don't have that one up. It's pretty straightforward. Again, it's free. So it kind of works as like an online sticky note board. You can invite all of the people in your chapter. What we recently did was for our region coordinator meeting, we had like a best practice sharing. So instead of waiting for somebody to talk, we created this mural board and had different segments. And so people, we spent 5 to 10 minutes just dumping ideas in the individual sections and kind of reviewed them together. So it can be a good way to just get the juices flowing and get people involved without pressuring anybody to kind of speak first in a meeting. And you can design them and create them for whatever the topic is. It's very user-friendly. And again, you get a couple of free ones. So that's a great option. All right, and then interactive slides. So like I mentioned before, sort of that online polling one is Slido. That one was my favorite. I have also the Mentimeter and Poll Everywhere. I would say they all kind of do the same thing, but Slido is really great because it integrated right into my Google Slides. So it's an add-on onto Chrome. It's very user-friendly. Again, like I said, I'm not super techie, and I figured out how to get it all together. So I'm sure that you all can as well. And if not, I'm always happy to help. The other two do, again, similar things where you can do like the live polls, you can do a Q&A, quizzes, word clouds, all of that good stuff. So there are 3 options for you there. Poll Everywhere, I remember using it when I was a collegiate member, and so I feel like it's probably a little outdated, just saying, but that wasn't that long ago. A couple options there. We have some different, 2 different game ones. Again, I think this can be used especially when more lighthearted things, right? Like a Kahoot could be on any topic. It could be used as an icebreaker at the beginning of your meeting. And again, it doesn't require anybody to speak up first and can get you laughing, or it could be on a topic that, everybody has an interest in to sort of create that sense of community. All right, so that's all the tips and tricks, or at least the starting point that or the platforms and things. Now we'll move into some tips, tricks, final thoughts, and then we can open it up for like any questions and comments. A couple things, especially when we're using AI, to just please be cautious. These are, especially with the free programs, just make sure that you're reviewing and double checking where your data is going. Especially if you're dealing with sensitive like bank account information for your chapter, things like that. So just be extra cautious. Don't sign up for anything if it feels off. And again, reach out to the national office if you have questions. I also want to throw in just remembering ethics. If you are using these AI tools, let's say you do the note taker, for example, and during your meeting, something very personal was shared, just make sure you're not uploading that for everybody to see or for that to be all out there on the internet. So just some things to keep in the back of your mind. And as far as success with integrating tech into your like chapter operations, I would, as an exec board right at the beginning of the year, choose your platforms and stick with them. Just have some core ones, don't overdo it. Just so that people know where to go for things and there's not a new thing all the time. You need a new login, all of that. So choose a couple and stick with them and then actually use them. So consistently and actively, especially with like a Slack channel or things like that, just so people can get used to, again, going there for the information. They know where to find things, they know how to log in, and it just becomes a part of the routine of your, mortarboard meetings. All right. And final thoughts. So really overall, I just kind of wanted to bring it together to discuss how important it is to use the technology. First off, it's a great way to increase efficiency of your chapter operations. Again, just getting your foot in the door with it. Maybe you're not as techy or you're very techy. Again, like the meeting notes, summaries, maybe trying to get a jumping off point for graphics for your social media will just enhance your chapter efficiency. It's also a great way to engage members. So no matter what the setting is of the meeting, and I think as you can all attest to, it's really hard to be in an all-day Zoom meeting or even just a Zoom meeting where it's not engaging, where you're just being talked at. So this is a great way to engage your members. And I would say when you do engage the members, or depending on how you're integrating the tech, it's also a great way to ask and capture data. So let's say you meet, right, and it's towards the end of the fall semester and you're getting ready for the spring semester. I would put something in, whether it's a poll or something, like when is the best time for you to meet next semester? Like what does your class schedule look like? All of that good stuff. And then you have that information right there instead of sending out a follow-up email and like, hey, can you put in your availability. This way you have it, everybody's there, they're filling it out, and so you can move things along quicker. And then it does allow for people to remain anonymous. I think that this can be especially helpful for any kind of like questions people might not want to raise to the group. They might have thoughts or ideas and are just shy. If you can allow for that Q&A, it does allow for that banter back and forth and can bring things up, make sure that everybody's voice is heard throughout the chapter. All right, so that is enough talking. That is the end of my presentation. So I'm going to go ahead now and I will share the link. I think it will also get shared out at the end of conference as well. But this just has the PowerPoint has everything linked to it. So you can always go in there and click on things, kind of get started. We have about 5 minutes. Is Doodle tool? No, I don't think so at all. Oh, this is so great. One2Meet is a great tool for scheduling, completely free and customizable. Awesome. And if you wouldn't mind, I think I might go in and edit this before everybody, before it gets sent out to the group too, so because I couldn't find a tool about scheduling specifically. So I guess I didn't look hard enough. I appreciate that, Maria. I guess, does anybody want to jump in? Any thoughts, questions? Did anybody have any thoughts, questions, other tips that they want to come off mute and share? Okay, did everybody learn something? Was I totally off base? Does this make sense to everybody? Awesome. Well, I would love to stay connected. I mean, if you have any, we do have about 5 minutes left. So I'm happy to answer any questions about Mortarboard in general. If you like chapter specific things. So I was a past region coordinator and start with the national office tomorrow, actually, with communications and engagement. So yeah, let me know if I'll just stick around here. Otherwise, I think we can call it early and you can have a little bit of a break before we head back. But thank you all for being here and being engaged. And yeah, I'll stay on. Let me know if you have any questions.